President Trump's proposed 2018 budget contains some major cuts for agencies ranging from the Environmental Protection Agency to the Departments of State, Health and Human Services, as well as HUD. But the budget also eliminates the Community Development Block Grant Program, the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, hundreds of millions in the health and nursing programs. Budget Director Mike Mulvaney says the Block Grant Program was cut because the grants aren't working.
We spent $150 billion on those programs since the 1970s. The CDBGs have been identified as programs since, I believe, actually the second Bush administration, as ones that were just not showing any results. We can't do that anymore. We can't spend money on programs just because they sound good and great. Meals on Wheels sounds great. Again, that's a state decision to fund that particular portion of it, to take the federal money and give it to the states and say, look, we want to give you money for programs that don't work. I can't defend that anymore. We cannot defend that anymore. We're $20 trillion in debt. We're going to spend money. We're going to spend a lot of money, but we're not going to spend it on programs that cannot show that they actually deliver the promises that we've made to people.
But the U.S. Conference of Mayors are pushing back on President Trump's budget. They note the CDBG program alone is used for everything from affordable housing to services for seniors to dental care for low-income children. Now, the president's budget proposal also reduces federal work study significantly, eliminates a program that supports before and after school programs, as well as summer programs. Mulvaney says those programs also don't work.
So let's talk about after-school programs generally. They're supposed to be educational programs, right? And that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to help kids who don't get fed at home get fed so they do better in school. Guess what? There's no demonstrable evidence they're actually doing that. There's no demonstrable evidence they're actually helping results, they're helping kids do better in school.
Folks, they also are cutting Meals on Wheels, $4 billion when it comes to Pell Grants. What in the world is going on with this budget? Doesn't sound like to me, when Trump said, what the hell do you have to lose to black folks? A hell of a whole lot. Joining us via phone from Birmingham is the mayor of Birmingham, William Bell Sr. And of course, we still have our panel there in D.C., Barbara Arnwine, George Jefferson Nuri, Pastor Shannon Wright, Jamila Lemieux. Got to ask you, Mayor Bell, when you look at this here, this is the guy who told folks in red states, oh, I'm going to take care of you, those who are forgotten. He's cutting programs to help coal workers in Appalachia find jobs. Again, cutting Meals on Wheels. This does not sound like an administration that gives a damn about the very people who voted for him.
I feel sorry for the voters in West Virginia, people who are already experiencing hard times, and now the programs that have supported them in their unemployment and their health issues are going to be undercutted by the man that they voted for. Here in Birmingham, we've used those CDBG block grants to help research in breast cancer. We used it to help support AIDS programs. We've used it to help early learning programs, a number of programs, and nutritional programs are needed regardless of the impact on the educational learning. But scientifically, we know that if a child does not have a healthy diet, they will not be prepared to learn. And to say that these programs don't work en masse is just simply wrong.
Well, and not only that, I mean, as a mayor, you understand the problems of cities, and when Mulvaney says they don't work, he doesn't cite any information, any sourcing to back it up. It's just a matter of his opinion that all of these programs don't work.
Well, that's been the standard line of this administration since January 20th, to make statements without any backing, without any evidence. Their whole goal is to further their issues and their points. It's not to help the people. When you look at the fact that these block grants have shrunk down through the years, I think at one time Birmingham was receiving somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 million. That has now gone down to around $6 million, if not $4 million. And it's just simply, they've cut the basic safety net that has been out there for people in need. People who, for example, we have one of the greatest healthcare institution in the University of Alabama in Birmingham, right here that's doing great research, that's going to be impacted by the cuts to the National Health Institute. It's just really a disservice to the public. And for them to say that there's no evidence, they're not looking for the evidence.
Shannon, I even looked at, they're cutting all funding for national historical sites. I mean, for any sort of upkeep. I mean, when you look at what they're proposing, they want to increase the budget $54 billion for defense, yet these cuts are outrageous, and Republicans in Congress are saying these folks aren't serious at all.
You know, when you look at the budget, there's a lot of cuts that I understand, and there's some that I don't particularly agree with. I think we need some of the arts, and we need some of those things. We need the programs. But I want to talk specifically about the CDCBG grants. When you look at those grants, you have folks that on paper, the services are great, the mission is great, the budget is great. But we have a problem when what's on paper is not what's actually translating into the community. And I think we've got a disconnect where we need to not so much get rid of it, but fix it so that what's on paper is actually what's happening in the communities.
But Shannon, where is the proof that it's not working? Mulvaney is just saying it. He offers no proof whatsoever. We're supposed to believe him, and we know this administration has lied about a whole lot of stuff in the last 6 weeks. Why should we take their word for it?
Don't. Go see for yourself. Visit the places in your own community.
But you're saying go see for yourself. Okay, they are trying to cut Meals on Wheels. They literally are saying that this is proper. Are you meals for seniors?
As I said, I don't agree with all of the program cuts, but I do believe that you need to see for yourself. Go visit the places in your community. See if they're actually doing what their mission mandated and budgeted.
Roland, please allow me in this.
That we're supposed to be
If we're supposed to go if we're supposed to go see the things in our community, I do see it in my community.
Okay.
I do see that Meals on Wheels delivered to the elderly in my neighborhood, one of them who had a mental problem. They didn't even come when the snow came, but when it snowed. So, but generally, they were there. Actually, they're bringing 3 meals, 3 small meals, not enough for people to eat. So why does this program need to have any other proof except that elderly people, shut-in people, are getting food? And wait a minute, hold on. We're trying to say, okay, well then let's go to the Pell Grants. Let's go to the Pell Grants.
But actually, I want to ask Barbara Arnwine this. Again, here's a president who talked about education during the campaign. You're cutting $4 billion from Pell Grants.
And he's cutting out all the preparatory programs that help people to go to college. He's taking away a lot of the programs that help people to stay in college. I think people really need to understand that this budget is all pro-rich, it's anti-poor. This is a budget that it reeks of corruption. Think about this. This budget we will spend $30 million per month. $30 million per month just to maintain and protect Trump Tower. Nobody's talking about that. That's more money than Meals on Wheels. That's more money than a whole lot of other programs put together that are being cut. We need to really be talking about the priorities here. When you talk about Meals on Wheels, not only are you talking about the 2.1 seniors, of that 2.1 seniors, 500,000 are veterans. And this is a administration has talked about is pro-veterans. 500,000 are veterans. And also, let me be very clear, 8.6% of all homeless are veterans. African Americans are 39% of all veterans who are homeless. So when we are talking about
I want to bring in Jamila here.
To your guest who said, go to your communities and see how these programs are not working or that they're not doing enough, I wouldn't say that eliminating their funding, cutting it or zeroing out is going to make that better. Many of these programs need more funding. So to say that you're zeroing out something like, a program that allows veterans in particular to have access to free or low cost heating. People can't have energy. People can't have food. You're cutting after school programs. This is the same administration that's going to do its best to end Roe v. Wade. So now we're asking people to have children that we don't want to help you feed, and we don't want to help you send them to college so they can take care of themselves without government assistance. But again, this is exactly the sort of budget that we should have anticipated from this president. He told us who he was through his entire campaign, and I have to disagree with the mayor for saying that he feels sorry for those voters in low-income communities that supported him. I feel sorry for the people that did not support him and are going to have to suffer as a result of the people who did.
And
Mayor Bell,
I want to add.
No, Joy, one second.
Yes.
Mayor Bell.
Yes.
Again, what is interesting to me is that this president and his budget director, they're not even remotely listening to these various states and these mayors. I mean, members of Congress right now are saying this is not a real budget. They're saying that this is simply a budget based on a series of press releases and rallies from last year. And so it looks like this budget is dead on arrival because even Republicans in Congress know there's no way in the world they're going to be able to cut a lot of these programs if they want to even remotely get elected.
Well, we put out a statement from the U.S. Conference of Mayors and other organizations asking our congressional delegations to oppose this. They understand the importance of these programs. Congressmen, they come back to the district. They see, for example, in Birmingham, how we transitioned the neighborhood of the Woodlawn community by building affordable housing and affordable residential units for citizens who have been forgotten in the past. That was done with community development block grants. So, to say, well, these programs aren't working, they have not come to see whether or not these programs are working.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not going to let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.